Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your daily Chelsea news. In today's video, we have some massive reports, some big updates that we need to talk about. Firstly, UEFA and Chelsea have beef. UEFA look like they're going to be fining Chelsea for some financial fair play stuff, which we are going to be talking about. And we've had some massive striker updates. So we are going to go over all of this. I'm going to be giving my opinion, but more importantly, I want to know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. So let's get into the news. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, we have a report from Martin Ziegler which says Chelsea are in talks with UEFA over a settlement which is likely to involve the club paying a financial penalty and agreeing to a spending plan for the next 3 seasons. UEFA did not allow the women's team sale at £200 million to be in the figures. The report continues to say that Todd Boehly and Clearlake are said to be relaxed about the position and maintaining good relations with UEFA. This could get spicy. This actually could get spicy. So if you're unaware, last year for PSR reasons, Chelsea sold the 2 hotels, the car park, the training ground, pretty much every asset they could back to themselves so they could then get ahead of PSR. And the FA and Premier League were like, okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that. That's fine. So it meant that we had a £90 million loss. We've done the same thing this year to, again, avoid PSR, but we sold the Chelsea ladies team and valuated it at £200 million. And that means that we are well ahead in profits, and we actually turned a profit of £128.8 million. Now, that's all good in the eyes of the Premier League and the FA at the moment. That's fine. They are investigating the valuation of the Chelsea women's team because they see £200 million as a bit of a stretch, considering they only run £11 million revenue last year and a loss of £8 million. So that's all ongoing. But when it comes to UEFA, they have a completely different set of regulations to be able to compete in their competitions. I believe that you can have a loss of, I think it's something strange like 107 point something million over 3 years. And anything more than that, you then go down these routes of not, financial fair play and PSR, but UEFA's version of it. They will not allow you to sell assets to yourself to inflate and cook the books. They've been very vocal about this. It's the same with having the multi-club model, all competing in the same competitions, etc. Now, from the looks of it, UEFA are quite happy to negotiate with clubs in terms of like how we're going to get around this, rather than being, putting their foot down and chucking the book at clubs. But they have been seen to do so as well. So it'll be very interesting. The fact that Todd Boehly and Clearlake still feel relaxed about it and they want to maintain a good relationship with UEFA says to me they've got something up their sleeve. We know that they love a loophole, especially a financial loophole, to make us look profitable and so we can keep buying and selling players every window. So I'm assuming they've done this because they feel confident in terms of what they can do, but essentially UEFA could just go, here's your spending plan, here's a massive fine, get on with it. Or they could say, you aren't participating in any UEFA competitions until you are financially compliant, which is an issue if that was to arise, especially with us being the club that we are and the sort of brand that we are, the relationship and bond that we have with the fans and the Champions League, even the Europa League and now the Conference League. If we win the Conference League this year, we'll be the first team to win every UEFA competition possible, the Club World Cup and everything. Oh no, that's FIFA, but every UEFA competition, which is amazing. So it's a bit of a convoluted one. I personally think it will just be the spending plan and a massive fine, which kind of doesn't make sense because it's like you've made a bit too much of a loss. Here's a fine, so you have more money to pay, which is then more of a loss. So it's a bit strange, but hey, hopefully it doesn't turn into UEFA banning Chelsea from UEFA competitions. Moving on to the striker updates, Ben Jacobs has reported that Chelsea striker target criteria is a powerful number 9 who can score, but also hold up play, allowing other attackers to thrive. He then goes on to report that striker targets under consideration are Liam Delap, Benjamin Sesko, Victor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak, only if Newcastle are open up to a sale. I'm going to be brutally honest, I think Isak is off the cards. I think that's off the table. We're not going to be spending £150 million on him. Newcastle don't want to get rid of him. And you've got a lot of clubs sniffing around Isak. There's going to be massive, massive money on that. I feel like we're going to end up with Liam Delap. I feel like it's the most logical, the cheapest choice in terms of system plays. What we've heard from reports, we were linked for him last year, linked with him in January, still linked with him now. I feel like Liam Delap will be the guy that we end up with. However, we've got Sesko and Gyökeres. Out of that list, I would personally take Victor Gyökeres. The guy's a goal-scoring machine. I mean, Sesko, I like the look of Sesko, but Chelsea have a bad history with Bundesliga strikers or players that just come from the Bundesliga, so I'd rather avoid that if possible. Liam Delap is English, he's homegrown. He scored, as of right now, he scored today as well. It's like 12 Premier League goals in a struggling Ipswich side, facing relegation. That's very, very impressive for a youngster who, was under City's academy. He's got a £40 million release clause if Ipswich get relegated. That seems fair and reasonable for a club like Chelsea when we're looking for number 9. I know there is a lot of Chelsea fans that want us to go back in for Victor Osimhen this summer, but we do have some news on that. Ben Jacobs also reported that it's looking less likely that Chelsea revisit a deal for Osimhen. Osimhen hasn't changed his wage demands, and Chelsea are strict on their incentives-driven wage structure. This is something that I've been saying personally for months all across my TikTok and even on YouTube from time to time when we talk about strikers. These owners and the board of directors seem like the type of people where if a deal doesn't happen when they want it to, they're going to cross it off the list and move on. And this is what it's looking like with the Osimhen deal. We don't want to pay his wages. He doesn't want to take a wage cut. It's not going to happen. Now, I'm happy to be proved wrong. I think Osimhen's a great player. He would want big wages. That means we'd have to break our structure, and he'll probably have a big transfer fee attached to it because, the whole Napoli, Galatasaray stuff, it's all a loan. He's got to go back to Napoli. Notoriously, they are very difficult to negotiate with. I personally just don't see it happening. John Obi Mikel seems to think otherwise, thinks it's an easy deal to solve, and he's probably thinking, just pay him the wages, it's done. And it's not as simple as that with these new board of directors and these new owners who want to have an incentive wage structure. So it doesn't look like we're going to get Osimhen. However, there's more reports regarding Victor Osimhen. Multiple sources have reported that Manchester United and Arsenal have made official offers for Victor Osimhen. United, Arsenal, Chelsea, the 3 biggest clubs circling Victor Osimhen. Chelsea are looking like they don't want to go in for him, and then you've got Manchester United and Arsenal that have made official offers, according to these sources, if they're reliable. I'm just going based off what's been reported. I found it very interesting. If they are, making a very a statement of intent to be like, we need 9, we're going after Osimhen. I could personally see Osimhen going to Manchester United. I've been saying this for a little while now. I don't know why. I feel like United will pay the wages. Even though they're in a load of debt, they'll find the money somehow. They'll probably borrow some more. They will pay the wages. They will get a number 9 like Osimhen. And it's almost like when you look historically the last 15 years, you look at the strikers they had Ibrahimovic. And they had Ibrahimovic when they weren't that good. It was kind of like, whoa, that's a big, big star number 9 coming to United when they weren't that good, And I think they went to go on to win the Europa League that season. But, in the grand scheme of things, I know they're doing a lot worse right now under Amorim. But you put Victor Osimhen under Amorim, mate, and he's goal machine. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens. And the last report is Manchester United have made it clear that Victor Osimhen is their first option. So it looks like it is a statement of intent from United. They really want to bag him. Looks like Chelsea missed the window unless we're willing to pay massive money on the transfer front and break our wage structure, which I just personally don't see happening. So out of the striker shortlist that we've kind of generated and culled down, and the fact that we're less likely to go into Osimhen, it gives us a bit more of a clear idea of who we're after. I personally think we're going to end up with Liam Delap, and to be fair, I'm quite happy with that. The guy is a very natural goal scorer. He can hold up the ball well, makes great runs. He's homegrown. That does go into account with all of our players in the buying and selling. But, Victor Gyökeres I'd be happy with. Sesko, I'm a bit unsure of. I look at the Bundesliga in the last 5-10 years and the players that have come from it to the Premier League, and it's just a different caliber of league. So it's not really reflected. Kai Havertz, Werner, and Kunku, just to name a few, hasn't seemed to reflect the sort of form from Bundesliga to the Premier League because it's a completely different league. It's faster, it's more physical. But Gyökeres, I'll be all over that. I know he plays in the Portuguese league, but that guy has scored so many goals. I think it's like 125 goals in the last 4 years collectively, and that includes some English football at Coventry and abroad. And Osimhen scored like 92 goals in the same time period. And look, we know how good Osimhen is, but it looks like Chelsea aren't going in for him. Gyökeres or Delap, I'd take that. We've still got Jackson, who I still back. I think he's a very good player. He's getting better every season. And I feel like if you've got someone like Delap and Jackson in rotation, it just brings the best out of them in terms of competition. And I feel like the profiles are very different, but they do offer the same sort of thing to Maresca's system. But that's just my opinion, and I would be very curious to know yours. So that's the latest Chelsea news. UEFA and Chelsea have beef and a major striker update. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on all the things that have been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this far to the end of the video, or you are enjoying the daily Chelsea content, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here. We're trying to get to 10K by the end of 2025. There's a thumbnail on the screen, so if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.